Keith Freeman is really a big part of you all not getting what you need to have. You all work for us. We do not want him as the administrator. He has allegedly has a background of financial crimes. Why would he even be hired?
The fox guarding the hen house. Like that's what Keith Freeman is. You gave a fox to guard all these hens. And then are we surprised when we see what's happening currently with this administration? So I actually have two videos to show about Keith Freeman. We're actually gonna listen to Keith Freeman in his own words. But first I want to take out one of the highlights I saw from the meeting talking about Keith Freeman. And I think it'd be a perfect intro to explain why we now know that Keith Freeman is just as responsible, probably if not more, than the super mayor, because I think at this point the super mayor is just following his lead.
And you spoke it before I could. I really think that Keith Freeman is really a big part of you all not getting what you need to have. And just like y'all stood up and had a press conference for Dorothy Brown to get her out of here, the same thing needs to happen, because we all feel this way. You all work for us. We do not want him as the administrator. He has allegedly has a background of financial crimes. Why would he even be hired? And he has a financial history of crime, you know. So, well, that's even more reason why you all should work on getting him out of there, because he's a big part of a lot of the stuff that's going on here, not letting them have the information that they should, harassing our clerk. This man is doing too much. The last meeting we had, he came in here with the Dalton police. We don't even have protection. And this man is running around driving one of our cars. He should be driving his own car. Why is he driving a car? What's that? The car costs over $100,000 and some. You know? So what I'm saying, we got to stand together as residents. We don't want him as the administrator. And we're telling the trustees, because they work for us. We do not want him as administrator, and you guys got to do a press conference. I don't care what you do to get him out of here, because he's a big problem. And that man had been doing financial crimes since he was in his early 20s. And he's an IT guy, so he know how to hack and do all types of stuff. He's not the type of person that should be over the township. Well, the township, they trustees don't have no balls. But I know you all will do it, but they not gonna do it. So that's all I have to say. I know I come off strong, but I'm just so passionate. I love Dalton. I hate to see Dalton like this. We have never had this situation like we have now. And to think migrants coming here and we don't even have police protection. What, they gonna be doing OT over there at the Melody Fitness for the migrants? That's crazy. Where else they gonna put them? In the old village hall? Yeah. You know? We should have a voice. They're supposed to vote on this. They should not be bringing migrants in here without voting. You cannot leave the trustees out. Period. They're breaking the law. So, good night, everybody.
Thank you. All right. She was not playing. So, she kind of just put the entire thing into just that one statement. Keith Freeman, with his past, he should have never, ever, ever been hired to be an administrator of anything, from a small nonprofit to a multi-million-dollar corporation. You would see his rap sheet and you wouldn't hire him. It'd be too much of a risk. It's too many red flags. I'm not necessarily saying that if you have a criminal history, you can't be, have redemption, have a second chance. But it depends on what you're talking about. If someone has had a lot of issues with financial issues, failed businesses, and also unethical behavior, you shouldn't hire him for that job. It should be a different job. Maybe something he doesn't involve himself with money or any kind of valuable resources, because his track record shows that, he's not good on his word. And also he doesn't know how to make money. So why would you put him in as a person that is responsible with the resources of millions of dollars? It doesn't make a whole lot of sense. It's kind of ridiculous. But I do believe that getting him out is probably, at this point, top priority. I mean, every day that he's here doing this, he's just causing more and more problems. He has police protection. He's riding around in luxury SUVs, and everyone is worrying about what can happen if there's a lot of the migrants coming in. They don't have protection, but he's doing extremely well for himself. So it's very frustrating. You have to be frustrated if you're a resident there. You feel like things are not being done quick enough. It seems like Keith Freeman is laughing in their face. The way he kind of walks around. Again, we're actually going to play this video. Thank you to a really awesome Dalton resident that showed me this video. It has been out for a year, and it's Keith Freeman talking in his own words about his life and his history. Let me show you guys that real quick. Right here, 5 minutes of faith testimony. Keith Freeman, faith to follow God's calling. So this is going to be him in his own words for 5 minutes. We're probably going to listen to most of it. Because there's a lot that's been said about Keith Freeman. But what does Keith Freeman think about Keith Freeman? What does he think of himself? Is he going to talk about his criminal past and all the shady stuff he's been doing or allegedly supposed to be been doing? What is he going to say about everything? It's actually it's only a year. Yeah, so it's been uploaded a year ago. So we're gonna play that real quick and see what he thinks of himself. Thank you guys. Hit the like. Check out the description box below to subscribe to the Individual Investor and Shaw Burns. They've been doing a lot of the heavy lifting on uncovering a lot of this stuff. And I think that's why they're getting their videos being taken down, because they're going real deep with this dude's criminal past, and someone is not happy about it. Let's play Keith Freeman in his own words.
Wife and I, we started a few businesses, a few retail stores. We sort of hit some challenges, some financial challenges. And I decided to walk away from a store that we created together, and I decided to go into another direction and start a hedge fund, which was pretty cool because I got to work with one of my friends. I probably got to get out of my wife's way because I was in the store with her all the time, probably bugging the heck out of her. And me and my buddy, we get together, we're like, oh yeah, we're gonna start this hedge fund. We start putting money together. We started filling out all the paperwork. We started talking to banks, and initially, everything was just going great, and we were just like, go, 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 go. We had people that were interested, and then all of a sudden, the brakes just hit. My wife and I, we had put sort of everything that we had into our...
Why did the brakes hit? Like, what happened? How did the brakes hit? Like, what actually happened? That, I mean, maybe explain it. I don't know. I went through a few minutes of this, but, like detail of what went wrong, so maybe we wouldn't fall in the same issue. But let's see if he explains it.
Our businesses, and so there wasn't very much left to sort of fall back on and say, hey, listen, what are we going to do? We had no idea. We had no clue. And I had just stopped working as a public servant. I had worked for years in a few municipalities, and I had even told a bunch of my friends that I would never go back to it, ever. The experience was just way too much. And so I had become...
Why was it way too much? What went wrong, Keith, that it's way too much? Did you just make so many bad decisions, not following the law? Like, what happened? He's not really giving a lot of details in this 5 minutes of faith, that you should be honest and transparent with yourself and what you did wrong. I assume if you're, trying, I don't know if that says a confession, but if you're, what happened? Like, what exactly went wrong? Let's continue on with the video.
Like primary daddy daycare. I have a son, he'll be 3 in a month, and I have a 7-year-old. So trying to manage those two little personalities, my daughter and my son, was just crazy. One day, I'm sitting in the house, and I had gotten a call from the same person, and he had said, Keith, you got to come work in this town. And I'm like, I'll never work in that town. Then his wife called, because his wife was the managing attorney for one of the cities. As a matter of fact, a couple of the cities. She was like, Keith, can you just think about it? No, I'm not thinking about it. I was just being stubborn. I was purposely trying to ruin God's purpose for me. And I knew I was. So I got a phone call, not from, a congressperson, not from another elected official. I got a phone call from a firefighter. And he said, hey, listen, Keith, if you don't mind, Can you take like 10 minutes? Just, we can meet wherever you want to, just sit down with me. But something said, if I don't pay attention and I don't listen, then I'm going to keep going this path.
Who's he talking about? Why he didn't say the person? You could name drop a person if it actually happened. Like, yeah, I talked to so-and-so and that was the turning point. Like, who are you talking about? Does it sound like this made up? I mean, his history that will dictate that maybe, but like, who are you talking about?
So I go meet this guy at his firehouse, and he tells me this incredible story about how God blessed him. He was a public servant for years. He did a couple wrong things, and it just led him in the wrong direction. But, God is faithful, and he had overcome a zillion obstacles to become mayor of one of the largest municipalities in the south suburbs of Chicago. Before I left, what he told me is that you can try to run away from your purpose, but no matter where you go, God's going to put you there. And I believe that you're supposed to be a public servant. You're supposed to serve people. You're the person that God put here for those things. And so I still wasn't trying to hear it. I'm being honest with you. I was like, yeah, I'm straight. I hear you. I didn't tell him to kick rocks, but in the car I was thinking kick rocks. I really was. I'm sitting at home the very next day. It couldn't have been, like 24. It wasn't even 24 hours. So the next morning, me and my son, again, I'm playing daddy daycare. My son and I, we get down and we pray. And I'm like, God, if whatever you want me to do, like, I'll do it. And like right then, I got a phone call from my new boss, who was really, really dope. Like, I just couldn't mess with God's will. I just couldn't mess with his purpose for my life. Everything I wanted for compensation. He gave me everything I wanted for benefits. And ever since then, there has been a roller coaster of great things that have happened to me, my wife, my boss, and has just taken me to different places and opened doors for me that I would never, ever be able to open for myself. So I may be stubborn, but I understand how much God has blessed me and my family, my friends, and I am extremely grateful for everything he's done. Every day now, I go through the prayer of Jabez. My wife.
That's great. Not a lot of like detail on that one, but that's what Keith Freeman thinks of himself. There was some ups and downs, blah 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 blah, but didn't necessarily put a lot of details on what's going on. But the problem is there's a lot of problems with this dude, a lot of issues with a lot of the misconduct basically, and he seemed like he's the one that's bringing a lot of this problematic energy here in the town of Dalton. So let's go right into it in terms of his criminal history. And this is the video yesterday that Charlene Burns, like, she went all in on this guy. And the video was taken down, which is interesting because I don't think she said anything inaccurate. I mean, she's just reading some of these documents here of his lengthy criminal record. So I don't know necessarily what went wrong with the video. I guess when she figured out what's going on, she'll talk about it as well. So back to what the lady in the special meeting said, that he has criminal activities going back 24 years, a misdemeanor in 2000, a theft charge in the 5th degree. Over the years, reportedly faced multiple charges, including aggravated misdemeanors. So it looked like basically a career criminal is this guy, a career criminal. How do you put a career criminal in like this guy? Like, how did he were able to get this job, even to be a janitor, to be someone cleaning? Like, I don't know if I would hire someone with this kind of background. And obviously the fact, again, going with the financial crimes or just his financial management skills. He has child filed for Chapter 7. So if you have such terrible, I mean, again, we all go through bankruptcies, we all have our financial issues. But the problem is, I wouldn't take a job managing a city's finances because my finances are not 100% great. I wouldn't try to put myself in a position to manage other people's money when I'm still trying to get my stuff together. But if this guy has that many issues, why would he be hired? Why would you put a fox to guard the hen house? Like, why would you do that? Because obviously you're friends with the super mayor, so you are able to do that. Actually, I have a clip from the individual investor. Let me put that in there. Just kind of breaking down some of his issues that we've already been talking about.
Property because of the village of Dalton. I believe this video has become much more relevant because, after all, she did mention Keith Freeman. I've had comments in my previous videos asking why I don't do any FOIAs with Dalton or Thornton Township, and the answer is they're blocking them, and Keith Freeman is one of the responsible parties for doing that. And a lot of the games you've heard happening at the Dalton board meetings, well, Keith has been a responsible party in those too, like blocking public comments, for example. And just like Tiffany, Keith has 2 jobs, one at the Thornton Township and one for the village of Dalton, and he's collecting 2 salaries just like Tiffany. And just like we've seen the residents of Dalton try to recall Tiffany, the residents have also tried to remove Keith Freeman, and just like Tiffany, they ultimately failed. Keith is also a part of the Tiffany Henyard Cares Foundation, which is the charity I believe she set up that doesn't really exist. Anyways, he's the registered agent for it. And just like you have businesses suing Tiffany, well, Keith happens to be involved in some of those lawsuits too, like this Rucker Holdings. And I'll talk about this more later. And the point is with Keith, he appears to be the mayor's side chick. Anywhere she goes, he goes. She gets a job at Thornton Township, Keith gets a job at Thornton Township. So I want to play a few clips from this video.
So just again, more of what a lot of people have already been saying in terms of the connection. We all know that super mayor, she has a criminal history, and he seems to just have a lot. You could tell he seems like a scammer. Allegedly a scammer. Scammers try to bounce from one way to make money to the next. I think what happened is he tried a bunch of companies that didn't necessarily work, and then he said, he had a lifeline to able to get into politics, and then obviously he's with Tiffany there, and yeah, perfect thing to say, giggity, thick as thieves. I mean, obviously they're not going to turn away from each other. I mean, maybe. I know I saw a comment on I think it was like Facebook about, well, if the FBI gets to Freeman, what is he going to do? Is he going to try to save himself? I mean, I would say he probably will. So who knows how tight they're tight right now? But when the investigations are getting close and people can actually get some jail time, or maybe some people may start turning on each other. So that's definitely something that can happen. So in some of these bankruptcy filings, Freeman is accused of not reporting all of his income. Obviously, he's basically not representing his financial issues and dealings, and that's all typical kind of stuff where you're dealing with someone who is doing this kind of thing, being a scammer. Professor 1934 said he is going to snitch. Probably. I mean, that's the thing about the whole politics. Sometimes the line between the people who are in power and the criminals, it's very like a fine line. Sometimes some people believe that some people in politics act just like a gang compared to the people in the streets. They're just a little different in terms of when things go wrong, what they're going to do. There's tons of informants because people they snitch at each other on the street all the time. I mean, that's how cops even figure out what's going on. So I'm thinking in terms of this situation where everyone is not being honest, people trying to hide. When the light comes on, the roaches start to scatter. They may say, "Hey, listen, that one did all the work. I didn't do anything. I was just following orders." That kind of thing. Sherry says he was hired as a benefited employee and then changed himself into a 1099. Wow, that's a really slap in the face of independent contractors. I mean, that's the bulk of my channel is all independent contractors, and the last thing we want to do is deal with any kind of scamming and corruption. And I definitely probably will still make some videos about what we have to deal with the gig economy, because there definitely is some exploitation happening. So that definitely needs to shine a light, but that's a different whole video upon itself. So I got another video talking about Keith Freeman and more information about the failed businesses.
And sure enough, we actually find some investment related businesses. Like, for example, we have this company right here, Collab Equity Crowdfunding Incorporated. Now, technically speaking, this business right here was never legally allowed to operate, and I'll get back to that in a minute. I know for certain this is the same exact Keith Freeman because they used the same exact address to register this business as they did the Tiffany Henyard Cares Foundation. This company has also operated under multiple different names. In 2019, it went by Collab Leaders Inc., and in 2021, it went by Freeman Ventures Ltd. And usually ventures, that's more business and financial related, real estate related, stuff like that. Then it operated under multiple different assumed names as well. Collab Equity Investments Incorporated, Minimus Watch Company, G Suite Resellers. Huh? So we have 6 different names tied to this business, and it was in business for 6 years. Almost makes you wonder if they're operating under a different name every single year. I want to go back to Collab Equity Crowdfunding Inc. because this was the original business that he set up. And I can say beyond reasonable doubt that this business makes no sense because Keith couldn't legally operate it. If he took any money from crowdfunding, he actually committed a crime. And this isn't me saying that, this is the rules. In 2016, the Jobs Act was released, and it allowed crowdfunding intermediaries, known as crowdfunding portals or crowdfunding platforms, to assist companies with raising capital using the internet. And this becomes relevant because, well, Keith's business was formed after the Jobs Act.
Yeah, so more of just a sign that this guy should not be in any meetings. I believe I missed that comment from Sherry. Definitely should not have been involved in any meetings. Like this is ridiculous. How is even how is it even possible that he would be involved with that kind of background as administrator? I'm going to hire you as administrator. This takes a simple background check. Obviously in terms of political office, and this guy was not elected. Clearly, to be hired, you have to go through some kind of background check, and you see all that. But obviously, it was something that was ignored on purpose because that's her homie, and homies help each other out. But also, any information you guys have about any of this, any other stories that you find interesting that you think I should talk about, the email is Hannibal@hannibalishungry.com. I'll put that in the description box below. We'll see if this video actually stays up. Hit the like. It's possible that they may go through this video and I may get hit with some kind of review as well. So I'll have the full video on the Patreon just in case this video gets taken down or something like that. Because it seems like everywhere he's gone. And remember, and see the difference between his history with the businesses that he's been doing and changing names and trying to do some finessing to the video that he was talking about right there, 5 minutes of faith, where he's talking about, I did something, but it just wasn't working out. And, now I'm in public office and I've been, I'm blessed and blah, blah, blah. It's like, yeah, you didn't really provide a lot of the information of what you did that was wrong. And then the Keith Freeman kind of jumps in and, just like what the individual investor said, he is the side, he is the side chick, if you want to use that term, the side dude, agreeing with everything that she's saying, showing no ability to say, hey, this is a bad idea. It's like, those criminalizations, you bring your people, you bring your folks, regardless if they are qualified, clearly, because Keith Freeman he's not qualified for that job. And then also Tiffany Henyard hiring a sex offender. Why? Because that's her friend. She didn't bother to check a background check or any background check.
Institution or a stockbroker. Now, what my research in this taught me is crowdfunding portals, they're considered like a financial institution or a stockbroker. It's like somewhere in between. They have government oversight by FINRA and the SEC. So if you're a legit crowdfunding portal, you're going to be able to pull up that registration with FINRA. Now, when you go on FINRA's current list of crowdfunding portals, there's obviously no mention of this company. And when we go through the list of former crowdfunding portals, which this company should be on if they were a legit crowdfunding company, yeah, no, it's not there. It never existed. Finding this tends to make me believe that Keith Freeman is most likely the person they're talking about that's been convicted of financial crimes. Now, I can't find any proof of this, but this is Illinois. It's easy to get things expunged and sealed, so that could have very well happened. But what we do know is he did start up an illegal crowdfunding business. This cannot be denied. This is fact. Now, I know a lot of people from Dalton have seen these videos. So, Keith, if what I'm saying is false, produce your FINRA and SEC documents, please.
But yeah, I mean, eventually he's going to have to come up with some receipts of some of his past dealings, at least to keep the job. I think if enough citizens, enough residents come in and say, hey, at least, okay, he should be fired. He should be removed. But all right, come forward with all of the information that you have about your past and be transparent, which I think that word, I don't think that word is in their vocabulary. Like they probably can't even say it. You know, they get like upset if they even friggin', they probably start shaking just to say the word. The ability to even say transparency gets them probably violently ill. But if you want to keep this job and double dipping, you know, you still have the two positions, explain your past, explain this crowdfunding business, the other business, staffing business, like explain all these issues. All right, like your criminal past from whatever. I mean, if obviously those things need to be talked about as well. But yeah, bring some receipts on why should the people in Dalton keep you around? Because it doesn't look like you should be there.